Hello everyone, it's that college football guy here with another video. Well, it's conference prediction time. It's time for the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. It's time to predict every game for every team. So I'm going to kind of motor through this real quick. So yeah, I got a haircut, by the way, if anybody noticed. Us old guys are going to cut our hair every now and then and not look so raggedy. But anyway, we're going to go through this and I'm going to start off with, it's going to go with last year's standings, how everybody finished. Then it's going to go with, I'm going to do each team and the conference teams in alphabetical order. And then we'll finish off the season with what the rankings are going to be, worst to first, who teams are going to be playing in the conference championship game, and who's going to win. It'll be obvious early on, but there's surprise teams on here. Especially when I looked at, realized how better I've got them going over versus what they had. I'm like, oh boy. Let's see how bad I barbecue this one, folks. All right, here we go. First off, the AAC, the standings from last year. Last place, the tie for last place, USF and Tulane both went 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference. Then was Temple, who was 3-9 overall, also 1-7 in conference. Then we had Navy, 4-8. Looks a little better like this, doesn't it? Navy, 4-8 overall, 3-5 in conference. Memphis, 6-6 overall, 3-5 in conference. SMU, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference. Tulsa, 7-6 overall, 5-3 in conference. East Carolina, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference. UCF 9-4 overall, 5-3 in conference. Houston 12-2, 8-0 in conference. Cincinnati 13-1, 8-0 in conference, and won the conference title game from last year. So how's it going to go this year? Okay. Oh boy, here we go. I might be doing this kind of like this. The freezer in the background is going to kind of suck, but I really got to do this like this way. I'm going to do this, drop a page, and keep going. All right, here we go. Cincinnati, week 1 at Arkansas. That's a loss. Week 2, Cincinnati, remember. Week 2, home against Kennesaw State. That's a win. Week 3, home against Miami of Ohio. That's a win. Week 4, home against Indiana. That's a win. Week 5, at Tulsa. That's a win. Week 6, home against USF. That's a win. Week 7, that's a bye. Week 8, at SMU. That's a win. Week 9, at UCF. That's a pick'em game for me. I thought it was a pick'em game, but since they're at UCF, I got UCF pulling off the win. Cincinnati loses to UCF. Week 10, home against Navy. That's a win. Week 11, home against East Carolina. That's a win. Week 12, at Temple. That's a win. Temple's bad, folks. And home against Tulane, week 13. That's a win. So that means Cincinnati goes 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference. Next up is East Carolina alphabetically. Week 1, home against NC State. What a way to start. That's a loss. Week 2, home against Old Dominion. That's a win. Week 3, home against Campbell. That's a win. Week 4, home against Navy. That's a win. Week 5, at USF. I thought this was a pick'em game. If this would have been home, they would have gotten the win, but they're at USF, so I have them losing. At Tulane. This is also, I think, a pick'em game because they're going to overlook because they're playing Memphis next. This is a bad run for East Carolina. They're going to lose to USF on the road. They're going to lose to Tulane on the road. They're going to lose by a nail-biter to Memphis at home. But they're going to follow that up by, in Week 8, beating UCF at home. That's the big upset. East Carolina beats UCF at home. So that'll be on there. They follow that up with at BYU Week 9. That's a loss. Week 10's a bye. Week 11 at Cincinnati. That's a loss. Week 12 against Houston. They're going to be hyped up for that one. And I have them pulling the upset and beating Houston in Week 12. They're going to have their bones, but then Week 13, they finish off at Temple. That's a win. So they're going to be 6-6 overall, 5-3 in conference. Beat the big boys, but lose to teams they shouldn't lose to, which is a little bit inconsistent. Now, Week 3, 13, alphabetically. Houston, Week 1, at Texas San Antonio. That's a win. Week 2, at Texas Tech. That's a win. Week 3, against Kansas at home. That's a win. Week 4, home against Rice. That's a win. Week 5, home against Tulane. That's a win. Week 6, at Memphis. That's a win. Week 7's a bye. Week 8, at Navy. That's a win. Week 9, home against USF. That's a win. Week 10, at home against SMU. That's a win. Week 11, home against Temple. That's a win. They overlook East Carolina on the road, and they get upset and lose. That'll be a ranked loss. The biggest win of East Carolina's had in a while. And then Week 13, they get a win against Tulsa. So that's going to be figured out. It's 11-1 overall, 7-1 in conference. Next up is Memphis. Week 1 at Mississippi State. That's a loss. On the road against Navy. That's a loss. Arkansas State at home. That's a win. North Texas at home. That's a win. Temple at home. That's a win. Houston at home, close loss, but they're going to lose to Memphis. Just crazy. At East Carolina, because it's a trap game from what I talked about earlier, because of stuff going on. East Carolina they're going to beat East Carolina. They're going to beat Tulane on the road at Tulane. They're going to get a bye week. They're going to, in a 50-50 game, Memphis is going to upset UCF at home. UCF's not going to have the grade everybody think they are. I think they're going to have a few more setbacks, mainly because of concerns, but I'll get into that in another video. But anyway, week 11 at home, it's Tulsa. They're going to get a win. Week 12, home against North Alabama. That's a win. And at SMU, week 13, that's a loss. So we're talking 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference. All right, next up is the midshipmen. It's Navy, week 1 at Delaware. That's a win. Memphis, that's a loss. Then you got bye week in week 3. Their byes in week 3. That hurts them because at East Carolina, loss. At Air Force, loss. Tulsa at home, I called it a 50-50 game. They're going to win. At SMU, loss. At Houston, at home against Houston, loss. Home against Temple, they got to win. At Cincinnati, loss. Home and road game or neutral site game in Baltimore against Notre Dame, loss. At UCF, loss. Talking about a murderer's row. Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and UCF, back to back to back. All 3 L's. Then they play in the week 15 standalone game, the Army-Navy game, and I think they're going to beat Army. So that gives Navy the overall record of 4-8 and 2-6 in conference. Now we go to SMU. At North Texas, that's a win. Home against Lamar, that's a win. At Maryland, that's a loss. TCU at home, close loss to TCU. I don't think SMU is going to beat TCU. I think TCU is going to pull it off with a rabbit. They're going to pull off a lucky one. Week 5 at UCF, that's a win. Bye week in week 6. Then against Navy, that's a win. Cincinnati, Navy at home, that's a win. Cincinnati on the road. Cincinnati at home, that's a loss. Tulsa at home, that's a win. Houston at home, that's a loss. At USF, that's a win. At Tulane, 50-50 game. I think Tulane's going to be one of the surprise teams in this conference. Maybe the biggest surprise team of them all. And they're going to lose at Tulane, and they're going to be week 13 home against Memphis and win. So that gives them 7-5. SMU is 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference. Now we go to Temple, the worst team in the conference. All I can tell you is this. Here's the schedule. At Duke, home Lafayette, home Rutgers, home UMass, at Memphis, bye week, at UCF, home Tulsa, at Navy, home against USF, at Houston, home against Cincinnati, home against East Carolina. They win week 2 against Lafayette. They win week 4 against UMass. They lose everything else. 2-10 overall, 0-8 in conference. Then we get to Tulane, my surprise team, who went 2-10 last year. Week 1 against UMass, that's a win. 2, Alcorn State, win. At Kansas State, loss. Home against Southern Miss, win. At Houston, lost. East Carolina at home, 50-50 game, they get a win. At USF, they get a win. Against Memphis at home, loss. Bye week. At Tulsa, win. UCF, loss. SMU, upset win at home. Cincinnati, loss at Cincinnati. Tulane, 7-5 overall. Yes, Tulane's going bowling. I'm calling Tulane Green Wave going to go bowling. That's my big upset pick for the year. 4-4 in conference. Then we get to Tulsa. Tulsa, we have, here we go. At Wyoming, that's a loss. Northern Illinois at home, that's a win. Jacksonville State at home, win. At Ole Miss, loss. Cincinnati at home, loss. At Navy, close game at Navy, but it's 50-50. They lose. Bye week at Temple, they get a win. SMU, loss. SMU at home, loss. Tulane, home, loss. At Memphis, loss. USF at home, 50-50 game, I have them getting the win. And then at Houston, loss. 4-8 overall for Tulsa, 2-6 in conference. Then we get to UCF, with Team 10. Home against South Carolina State, that's a win. Week 2 against Louisville, at home. It's a 50-50 game, but since they're at home, I'm giving UCF the win over Louisville. Week 3 at Florida Atlantic, that's a win. Week 4, home at Georgia Tech, that's a win. Week 5, home against SMU, nail biter, but it's a loss. Week 6 is a bye. Week 7, home against Temple, that's a win. Week 8 at East Carolina, that's the upset. That's a loss because they're looking forward to Week 9, home against Cincinnati, to try to be getting the conference title picture, but they're going to look past East Carolina on the road, and that's why they lose to East Carolina. Cincinnati at home, they're going to pull off the upset and beat Cincinnati at home 50-50. But then they're going to go follow the week up with at Memphis on the road and lose. They're going to be at Tulane, pull up the win, beat Navy at home, and then at USF they're going to win. So that's going to make them 9-3 overall, 5-3 in conference. That leaves us to USF, final team. USF's got a non-conference schedule. Jeez. Home against BYU, loss. Home in Howard, win. At Florida, big-time loss. At Louisville, loss. East Carolina at home, that's the upset win I have them winning. At Cincinnati, loss. Tulane home, loss. Bye week. At Houston, loss. Temple at home, win. SMU at home, loss. At Tulsa, loss. UCF at home, loss. 3-9 overall, 1-7 in conference. So what in the world does this mean? Final standings, worst to first. Worst team, like it wasn't hard to figure out. Temple, 2-10 overall, 0-8 in conference. Followed 9th, 11th place, Temple. 10th place, USF, 3-9 overall, 1-7 in conference. Two teams tied. Navy and Tulsa, both 4-8 overall, 2-6 in conference, but Navy beat Tulsa, so they get the tiebreak. Then there's Tulane, 7-5 overall, going bowling, 4-4 in conference. We have three teams that were 5-3 in conference. UCF, 9-3 overall. SMU, 7-5 overall. East Carolina, 6-6 overall. Then we got Memphis. The other surprise pick, not as big as Tulane, moving up from 2 wins to 7, but I got Memphis going 9-3, 6-2 in conference. But that leaves, no surprise here, folks, Houston and Cincinnati battling in the conference title game, and I've got Cincinnati pulling off a three-peat and winning it again. 3 consecutive American Conference titles for the Cincinnati Bearcats. So, if you like the video down below, and I'm out of breath from talking so damn much, remember tomorrow's the Mountain West Conference preview. So, folks, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with anything on there. I'm pretty sure some of these teams are like, what are you thinking? These guys are going to be that good, or you sold them short. I want to hear about it in the comments. Let me know what it is. And if you like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can get this thing grow. And always, everyone, please be good to each other.